There are places where the earth remembers, where wind does more than pass, it carries memory, where mountains are more than stone, they are witnesses, and rivers do not merely flow, they speak when you are quiet enough to listen. Welcome. You've entered a world that does not shout to be seen, but hums to be felt, a land where mist clings not just to forests, but to forgotten stories, and where every crumbling step, every breath of incense, every glint of morning light across worn rooftops is part of something bigger than us, older than us. This is China, but not the China you've known in maps, airports, or headlines. This is a China that lives between time and silence. A China of thresholds, of half-glimpsed reflections, of places that don't just exist, but remember. What if the world wasn't just meant to be seen? What if it was meant to be felt? So much of modern travel tells us to tick off destinations, monuments like checkboxes, photos like proof. We move fast, we skim, we collect, and in the rush, we miss something. We miss the heartbeat of place. This journey is not about rushing. It's not about snapping a skyline from the back seat of a taxi. It's not even about reaching the top of a famous mountain or standing at the foot of a world wonder. It's about letting a place enter you. It's about stepping softly into a valley so quiet you can hear moss drink dew. About pausing long enough to hear the rhythm of a 1,000-year-old village wake with the sun. It's about waiting for fog to lift from a forest, for lanterns to glow, for a local to finish a story. It's about surrendering speed to silence and noise to nuance. China, they say, is a dragon, a land of motion, might, and myth, twisting from deserts to oceans, from neon towers to jade peaks, from the edge of empire to the core of something far more intimate. But there is another truth, whispered in temples and written on the walls of forgotten homes. China is not just a dragon. It is a memory, a living, breathing, layered memory, ancient as the bones of the Great Wall, gentle as tea poured by a grandmother in Fujian, wild as the wind that whips through Linghuan's stone spires. You do not visit China. You encounter it. Like a dream, you wake from slowly. Like a word you once knew but forgot. Like standing in front of a painting that was made for you, even though you've never seen it before. This journey begins in mist, not as metaphor, but as truth, because across this land, mist is not just weather, it is curtain and veil. It hides, it reveals, it softens jagged edges, it humbles towers, it turns temples into floating myths. Mist doesn't rush, it teaches you patience, and in that stillness, a new kind of vision is born, one not ruled by your eyes, but by your awareness. Here, the landscapes are alive, not merely with color and form, but with emotion, valleys that mourn, peaks that exhale, waters that mirror not just the sky, but your own inner reflection. This is the story of those places, of stone houses shaped like circles in Fujian, where generations live under one roof, their lives braided like the beams overhead. Of bamboo forests in Sichuan, where pandas move like myths through green cathedrals, and tea leaves dry beneath the sun like pages waiting to be written. Of karst mountains that rise like questions from the Li River, where fishermen still cast their nets beside cormorants, and the water reflects not just light, but lineage. Of temples that balance on cliffs, where prayers are whispered into winds that have circled the earth before your name was spoken. Of deserts that burn gold, and snowfields that echo silence. Of bustling cities that shine like constellations, and villages that float above the clouds. Each place in this journey holds a pulse. But it's not the pulse of engines or footsteps, it is slower. There are doorways in this journey, not made of wood or metal, but of moment. Moments when the sun hits a mountain and you feel tears before understanding why. Moments when you taste soup made from 5 herbs you've never heard of, and you remember your grandmother. Moments when someone on a street corner offers you a smile that feels like home, though you're 5,000 miles away from your own bed. This is not a travel guide. It's not an itinerary. It's an invitation to walk slower, to listen more, to let each place show you what it has to offer, not just what it looks like, but what it feels like. Because some of the most incredible places on Earth don't just ask to be seen. They ask to be held. Why begin this way? Why not with facts and figures, dates and distances? Because those things will come. As stones beneath your feet, they will guide you along the path. But first, you must be willing to open, to soften, to see not just with your eyes, but with your memory, with your breath. We begin not with place names, but with silence. Because in silence, the story begins. And China's story is not one story. It is 1,000 voices speaking at once. It is mountain and market. It is flute and firecracker. It is calligraphy written in ice across the surface of a lake. It is resilience. It is reverence. It is beauty carved by patience. To travel here is to surrender what you know, to be humbled by how much you have yet to understand. And that is the awakening. Let this be your first step, not into a country, but into a conversation between land and longing, between silence and song, between what was and what still echoes. So breathe deeply, listen closely, and follow the mist. What lies beyond it isn't just unseen. It's unreal. Welcome to the hidden heart of China. Welcome to the story only the soul can understand. Before we journey deeper into China's hidden heart, take a moment to pause. And if this story is already resonating with you, subscribe to the channel. Like this video if you felt even a whisper of wonder. And share it with someone who's always dreamed of discovering the soul behind the scenery. There are more stories waiting, and this is only the beginning. Now, let's begin our descent into lands etched in silence. It reverberates. Through corridors, across balconies carved like wooden lace, down stone stairs worn smooth by countless feet. Every beam holds fingerprints. Every window has watched a storm. The Tulu are not places you pass through. They are places that hold you. Each one, a breathing ecosystem, where neighbors are family, kitchens are communal, and wisdom is passed not through lectures, but through living together. Community here is not a concept. It is architecture. No one hides in a Tulu. There is nowhere to. Doors open to share halls. Voices travel in echoes. Every space is woven with presence. And as morning light seeps in through drifting fog, the Tulu seem to hum, not with noise, but with memory. Of festivals and funerals. Of arguments and lullabies. Of a people who have, for centuries, chosen togetherness over isolation. They stand not for grandeur, but for unity, for warmth, for the unshakable strength of circles where no corner is left behind. And if you're feeling inspired, touched, or even just a little more curious than before, do us a small favor that means everything. Like this video to support stories that speak from the soul. Leave a comment. What place has made you feel something deeper than just a view? Subscribe to join us as we uncover more landscapes like this. Quiet, powerful, unforgettable. Share this journey with someone who needs to slow down and see the world differently. Terraces of light in Yunnan. In Yunnan, the mountains do not roar. They ripple, curving down green hillsides in wave after wave. The rice terraces of this land feel less like agriculture and more like sculpture, carved not by blade, but by time, toil, and tenacity. Each step in the earth holds the story of hands, of those who walked barefoot before dawn, coaxing life from soil and water with patience that defies generations. And from a distance, the terraces seem to breathe. They rise and fall like lungs. They glisten like armor after rain. They catch the morning fog in their curves and hold it like cradles of cloud. But these hills do not stand alone. They pulse with life, from the laughter of children winding through narrow paths to the colorful marketplaces that bloom at valley crossroads. Here, every village is a palette. Women in hand-woven robes, bright with pattern and pride, barter over spices, silver, herbs, and fruit. Languages shift like music from stall to stall. Mandarin, Hanibai, cultures layered like cloth. Identity embroidered into every thread. You realize this is not one story. It is many braided into one mountain range. And when night falls, something magical happens. The terraces catch the moonlight like liquid jade. Still pools shimmer like mirrors. And the hills become oceans, frozen mid-tide. Waves turn to glass under a sky too quiet to name. You stand not above them, but within them, part of the pattern, part of the patience, part of the promise that beauty, when born of hard work and harmony, can reshape the world. If you're still here, that means something in this story is speaking to you. So go ahead, like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves to travel differently. There are places where the earth does not rise, it reaches. Where stone becomes stairway, and stairway becomes scripture. Mount Tai, the sacred heart of Shandong, has called out for over 3,000 years, not with thunder, but with silence steeped in reverence. To ascend it is not just a hike. It is an act of remembrance. You begin low, where forests cradle the first steps. Ancient pines line the path like quiet witnesses, their bark rough with age, their silence deeper than shadow. The stone beneath your feet is smooth, worn by emperors, scholars, monks, and mothers. All who climb this mountain leave something behind, and take something invisible with them. Each step is a question. Who am I when I look down from the sky? This mountain has crowned emperors. In the days of dynasties, rulers climbed Mount Tai not just for glory, but to pray, to humble themselves, to ask heaven for permission to rule the earth. And yet, today they are gone. But the mountain remains, and the path, still here, still waiting, still welcoming. It does not care if you are silk or canvas. It does not care what your title is. All are equal before the peak. You, like every soul before you, must earn the view, one step at a time. Along the trail, the stone speaks. Carved into cliffs and gates are inscriptions, some bold, some fading, prayers etched into permanence. Words chiseled by those who longed to touch the eternal. Some are imperial decrees. Others are simple poems. All are echoes. Read them, and you read the longings of the past. Trace them, and you trace your own reflection. As the climb steepens, the air changes. Cooler, thinner, quieter. Temples begin to appear, perched on ledges like golden thoughts. Their incense drifts upward, smoke spiraling into the sky like unfinished sentences. Bells ring softly in the breeze, their tones carrying across valleys lost in mist. At the summit, dawn breaks slowly. First the glow, then the gold. Peaks catch fire, and suddenly, you are between heaven and earth. It's not just the altitude that makes you breathless. It's the weight of how many stood here before you. This is not a view. It's a blessing. Before we continue, if this journey is resonating with you, tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes in quiet magic. Not everyone makes it to this point, but you did. That says something about you. Your hunger for beauty, for meaning, for something more. So don't just vanish quietly. We have wandered through silence and sunlight, across mist-wrapped valleys and stone-carved memories. We have climbed where emperors once prayed, drifted through rivers that reflect both sky and soul, and stood still in the shadow of mountains older than time itself. And now, as we turn to leave, a question remains. What do we carry? Because not everything can be packed into bags. Not every story fits in a photo. Some things, the real things, must be carried inside. We've stood in places where time seemed to slow, where wind whispered forgotten names, and where the sun painted gold onto walls that have seen centuries come and go. But the real transformation never happens on the mountain. It happens after, when you return, when you bring the stillness back with you, when the echo of sacred heights lives quietly in your steps, your speech, your spirit. Some places leave you breathless. Others leave you changed. And if that change is starting to stir inside you, then let's keep walking this road together. Like this video to mark the moment. Subscribe so you never miss the next step. And share it with someone who needs beauty more than busyness today. Because travel, when done right, doesn't just show you new places. It introduces you to a new version of yourself. One that listens more. One that sees the sacred in the ordinary. One that understands Beauty isn't always loud. Sometimes it's hidden in the hush. You are not the same as when you started. This isn't just a video. It's a seed. Let it grow. Let it shift the way you move through your world, even long after the screen fades to black. Like, subscribe, share, and carry this story with you into everything that comes next.